This is the story of a very.
I have a monster, please.
What? Yeah. Just wait. Don't interrupt. This is the story of our very unusual monster called Claudette. Claudette was a monster unlike any other because she liked to look fancy. And even though she would scare children, uh, she didn't like that. She liked to look very nice. And so she would sometimes put perfume to smell good. Unfortunately, though, what smells good for a monster is not the same as for a kid. So perhaps she would smell like dead fish, or another day she would smell like rotten eggs. It was quite hideous, and the kids were really scared of her. Um, but that's the life of a monster. Monsters actually gain like popularity amongst their peers the more they scare children away. And so, this one day, Claudette, by the way, had unfortunately been born with quite small teeth. And the most scary monsters of all, they had huge teeth. And so, Claudette found something that she didn't quite know what it was, but she thought it would make for great teeth. Uh, Claudette didn't know much about the human world. Those were, don't say anything to Claudette, but those were cheese sticks. And so Claudette found the cheese sticks one day and decided to put them on her mouth so that she would have huge teeth. And so she snuck up on a child that was going to the bathroom one day. And the child was sitting in the toilet singing when suddenly Claudette showed up from behind the door and said, "Ah, boo 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 boo," with all the cheese sticks in his mouth. And suddenly one of the cheese sticks, poof, fell to the ground. And Claudette was so embarrassed. She didn't know what to do. The kid looked at Claudette, looked at the cheese stick, and said, "Oh, thank you," and grabbed the cheese stick and started eating it. Claudette was shocked. Her most scary feature, the tooth. The kid was eating it instead of being scared. He was eating it. Can you believe it? Actually eating it. So she took off, running and crying because she did not know what was going on. And the kid was like, "Well, this tasted great. I think I want more." And so he started looking for Claudette. But Claudette didn't know that the kid was hungry and wanted more of the cheese sticks. So she was back in a corner behind a tree crying when the kid suddenly got to her and yanked one of her teeth, yes, and sat down next to Claudette and started eating it. And Claudette was like, "Ah!" Took off running again as fast as she could. This was not how life was supposed to be. Monsters are supposed to scare kids, not the other way around. And so this time she hid in the darkest, deepest hole she could find, which was the hollow trunk of a tree. As soon as the kid finished eating, the kid went home. He was about to brush his teeth when suddenly he felt hungry again. And so decided to go back for more. And he was looking and looking and looking, but he couldn't find Claudette. And so he decided he had enough and he let his dog out so he could go potty. Well, but dogs have a great nose. So the dog found Claudette and started barking at the tree. And the kid was like, "Ooh, yummy cheese sticks." And he stuck his hand in there and Claudette tried to bite him. But because she had cheese sticks for teeth, instead of biting him, she gave him like a ton of cheese sticks. And when he took his hand out of the tree trunk, there had like 5 or 7 cheese sticks in his hand. Oh, it was more than he could eat, so he even gave some to the dog. Big mistake. Now everybody wanted more cheese sticks. The other dogs immediately started showing up. They drove Claudette crazy. They ate all of her cheese sticks. And she went back into the night crying. And she swore to never, ever use cheese sticks for teeth again. But now that the kid had eaten all he wanted, he still wanted to know what kind of thing that was giving away free cheese sticks, and maybe there was more delicious food. So he started looking for the monster. Sorry, that was my radio. So he started looking for the monster. But he couldn't find it. And so it was that the kid grew up, and one day a different monster showed up. But this one was really scary. It had huge teeth, real teeth. And this one really could bite and do harm, and he could really scare the kid. But the kid was a little bit more grown up. He was probably about your age, but had never seen another monster. The only monster he'd ever seen had cheese sticks for teeth. And so, as the kid was one day doing his homework, the monster snuck up behind the kid and suddenly tapped him in the shoulder. And when the kid turned around, he went, and the kid saw his huge mouth and thought, ooh, those look like delicious. Not quite like the other ones, but And so he grabbed one of the teeth and started yanking at it. And the monster wasn't used to this. He was used to kids running away in panic. But this kid was trying to get one of these teeth out. And they started fighting with each other. The monster started trying to run away. And the kid wanted one of the teeth because he thought maybe this one tastes even better than the last one. And finally the monster managed to get out and told all the other monsters that there was a kid that was not afraid of the biggest, the most scary monster. And this could not stand. The monster crowd would immediately take action to remedy this situation. And so they formulated a plan. One of the scariest monsters, not the one with the big teeth, because that one's already scared of the little kid, so he didn't want anything to do with this. But another one of the scariest monsters, it was a monster that had like a little tube with a light on the top of his head. Would sneak up on the kid at night. And the other two monsters would be right behind him to support him with scary screams. And so at night, the kid was already sleeping when the monster with the light started approaching very slowly. And just as the monster got close to the kid suddenly decided that he wanted to pee. But he had no light, and when he saw the light approaching, he didn't realize it was part of a monster, because he slept on a bed just like yours, up there, and the light came up from a tube that was sticking up from the head. So he saw the light, he didn't see the monster, and he yanked it, and he said, oh great, I'm gonna call this Flapjack, and it's gonna be my nightlight. And he ripped the light from the head of the monster, and the monster started crying and took off. And from that night, the kid had a nightlight, which he called Flapjack, and he never realized where it came from. He just thought it was a present from his parents. And all the monsters, even to this day, talk of the bravest kid in the whole human kingdom that rips monsters' teeth and lights from its head and fears nobody. They all fear him. Of course, the kid has no clue about any of this. He just thought it was funny that someone was giving away cheese sticks. Then he wanted another one, and then he got a free nightlight. For all he knows, monsters don't exist. But these monsters were really afraid of this kid, and so they never, ever dared go anywhere near. And by the way, they don't tell anybody else about this. I know about it because one of the monsters told me a secret, but they don't want any other monster to know because they would be so ashamed that they're scared of a kid. And that's the story of the cheese sticks and the monster. I don't know. Maybe.
Totally. I saw monsters.
Okay. So that's the end. Good night, Pequeño.
Good night. Best story ever.
Yay.